In this presentation, we're going to enter our beginning balances into the chart of accounts within QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks Desktop. Here we are in our practice problem 1, job cost tracking, work in process. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by selecting the view dropdown and the open windows list. We're now going to be entering the beginning balances. So if I go back to our worksheet, then over here, we're going to say this is our starting point. We're starting a new company file. We already have these opening balances we want to enter into the system. So these are our beginning balances. Now, we've already entered the work in process because we had to do so in a special type of way to make sure that we have the job cost set up. So now what we want to do is think about how we can enter the rest of the balances that we still need, which are going to be these items. To do that, I would then think about a worksheet down here. I'm going to make a worksheet and I'm going to say, hey, these are my beginning balances. Now let's see what I have in QuickBooks at this point in time and then make the adjustment we need to make. So in other words, if I go back to QuickBooks, let's take a look at the trial balance report. Reports drop down. We're going to go down to the accounting and taxes and then the trial balance. Then we're going to be picking up the date range, which is going to be, let's say, 12/31/20 to, well, why 12/31? Let's make it 12/1/20 to 12/31/20. That's what we have. So the checking account has 83,000, work in process has 83,000. So if I was to go back over here, I'll say, all right, well, the checking account currently has a credit balance, a negative or credit balance of 83,000, and the work in process account has 83,000. So the amounts that I need to adjust are the difference then. It's going to be equal to the beginning balance minus this amount. And so I need to make an adjustment then of 383 to get the cash balance to be correct. And then if I was to copy all this down, this is in essence the journal entry that we need. So we need this amount in cash, we need this amount for factory overhead, and so on. Now this is in debit and credit formats, which I will use now. If you're not familiar with debits and credits, you can use this information to go into the, if you're more comfortable with like a register type of format, you could go into the lists drop down, go to the chart of accounts, and then with all these, if I, for example, go into the checking account and I was to edit it with the account drop up or rise up and edit the account, I can then use the opening balances fields here to enter the opening balances, and QuickBooks will kind of force the other side to work. You can do that. I think if you're familiar with journal entries, then it'll be easier. I think it's more straightforward to enter the journal entry. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to make a journal entry then. I'm going to go back to the customer dropdown up top. I'm not the customer, company dropdown up top. We're going to make a journal entry. So we're going to make the journal entry. I'm going to make it as of the last day of the prior period again. So it's going to be 12/31/19. And then I'm just going to go straight through our accounts. So we had the cash. So cash is going to be for us the checking account. And that was for the amount of 383. So 383,000. Now, with the checking account, you're going to have to be thinking about what's going to happen with the next bank reconciliation. Are there any outstanding checks and whatnot? I'm not going to get into a lot of detail because I'm not focused on the checking account here. We're going to be focusing in on the work in process accounts. So then, and you might want to put this as the beginning balance in the memos or something like that. I'm just going to go to the next item here, and that's going to be all the way down to this one, which is the factory equipment. So I'm going to type in, we don't have that account, I doubt, right? They didn't give us any equipment or fixed asset type of account. So I'm going to type in here the factory equipment and say tab, set it up. It's going to be a fixed asset type of account, and I'm going to say continue, and that's what we want. All right, and then I'm going to put this on the books at the 5/10, and then the next one is going to be the accumulated depreciation. So I'm going to type that in there, accumulated depreciation. And that's going to be set up, and I'm going to put that in there as a fixed asset type of account as well and say continue. Now note, you could again put the beginning balance here as you add these, but I would rather just do a journal entry. So I'm going to do a journal entry. This is going to be a credit because it's a contra asset account of 153,000. So I'm going to put this on the credits, 153,000. And then we want the other side here to be accounts payable, 45,000. So I don't have that account. Accounts payable tab, set it up. This is going to be a accounts payable type of account. So you want to make sure it's an accounts payable type account. And then now to hit accounts payable, you're going to have to assign a vendor. And that's a similar process as we have with this item issue that we have to set up and linking the job cost to the work in process. So for here, it won't let me post it if I don't have a vendor. So that's how QuickBooks keeps that subsidiary ledger in line. So I'm going to say the vendor, I'm going to say is Home Depot. And I'm going to have kind of generic vendors here as well, so we can work through this. And there we have that. And then we're going to say that the next one is going to be the equity account. So I'm going to select the equity account. I'm going to say it's going to be owner's equity. And the owner's equity then is going to have the 695,000. And sorry, the accounts payables at 45,000. Something was wrong there. I don't know what it was. Okay, and then this one's going to be the 695,000. There we have it. That should put us in balance. So this is going to be our journal entry. We're just recording the beginning balances now. I'm going to say save and close, and then yes, and don't show me that again, and okay, and okay. And then I'm going to go back to the trial balance. If I go back to the trial balance, then this is what we have. So the checking account now having the 300,000 in it. The work in process having that 83,000 we set up. Now these are in reverse order because of just the way the grouping happens. They're both in the same category, and then accumulated depreciation starts with an A, so it's grouped first. You can adjust that with account numbers, but we won't get into that now. So anyways, factory equipment 510, the accumulated depreciation here, the accounts payable 45,000, and then the 695 in the owner's equity. And that's, of course, going to be matching these numbers here. So now we have our beginning balance. So we entered the beginning balances and we set up the jobs. Now this is kind of like our starting point. So now we're going to be starting from here, and we'll be comparing and contrasting entering transactions, which will include the purchase of materials and the purchase of raw materials and whatnot, and applying them out to the job, and then the actual finishing or completion of the job.